And now we are all yours, and a heartfelt welcome, Reverend Laura.
Thank you. Thank you. It's such a blessing to be here. Thank you, Jim, for your good words. Jim and I were colleagues on the faculty at Unity Village back in the 90s. And golly, I have been in ministry now, well, in 2020, as of 2023, 40 years. It has been a true blessing. I grew up and just went right into it. And my father, as you just heard from Maya, was a Unity minister. And my grandmother, my mother's mother, was a Unity minister. And she started the church, the first church in Virginia, in the state of Virginia, back in the 50s. She started Unity of Fairfax. And it is still thriving today. And it's just been a joy growing up in Unity. I have found that growing up in Unity, I have been able to study and embrace religions from around the world and still be grounded in my Unity core. So it has been a great joy embracing this work. One of the things, perhaps modeling after my dad, but doing my own exploration of much of what my dad taught, and then going a little further with it. One of the things I have taught is the Bible. I was the chairperson of biblical studies at Unity Village when I was there with Jim, and just enjoyed a beautiful time and a wonderful experience. Being immersed in the Unity teachings, I have been through my own personal challenges. 2 years ago, almost 2 years now, my sister passed away from ovarian cancer, and as did my grandmother, who was the Unity minister. And we had a release and a blessing for her in her ongoing. And what's interesting is I'm remembering it 1 year ago, going into January, I had been diagnosed with spinal cancer myself, and I did some MRIs, and they said, you have a malignancy on your neck, and you're going to have surgery and radiation and all of these things. And I treated myself with a prayer treatment from Clara Palmer's book, You Can Be Healed. And it was on the tree of life and how your spine is the tree of life. And I just started going into those prayer treatments and seeing that life energy moving up and down my spine. 2 weeks later, when they were taking the tests prior to the surgery, they could not find anything. And it was an amazing thing for me. And what I learned from that is, with my sister's experience and my experience, is every soul has its path. And if you align with spirit and in the depth of your being, that life guides you in exactly the way it needs to do, even when it is to release that life. And every soul has its path in life, as far as when it's time to release something of life. And that's what we do at the end of every year. We look at what there is to release. We look at what there is to open up to. We look at, I love the daily word today. It's gratitude for all that has gone before. Gratitude for all that has gone before, because it has brought us where we are. And that gratitude can move us into a peaceful place. It happens to be one of my talk points today. as we shall see. I just love being here with Maya. Maya, I honor you so much. I have known you for many years, before I was a minister. And just have admired and loved what you do, and how you've been a part of Unity's ministries across the borders of countries and nations, and in a way somewhat inspired by what you did when you were deeply involved with the Unity organization. When I was on the Unity Worldwide Board, I helped to get the International Advisory Council going, that we now have. It was a great passion of mine, and so I am very grateful to do it. And I keep advising Unity, like, when we have a World Day of Prayer, it would really be great to include the whole world.
Well,
So they're because Unity takes form and shape in every individual as it needs to, and the same thing in every culture, in every place. It really, but it speaks to those basic truth principles of that presence and power in our lives, of that connection that we all have with each other, that oneness we all have with each other through that presence and power, and how we can apply our spiritual nature in a very practical way in our lives. And these are just, basic ideas that we see at the heart of every religion, but that Unity, it shows us a way to focus on these ideas and to put them into practice. So thank you, Maya, and everyone. Thank you. It is my joy to be here. I remember giving a little talk when I was running for the Unity Worldwide Board in the convention, and saying, the first words I learned were, "I am God's perfect child." Even before Mama and Papa, I am God's perfect child. And that is so true of all of us. We are the perfect being of spirit in expression. Okay, so time passes. I mean, I can hardly believe it's been 40 years since I graduated from ministerial school at Unity. And Maya, I won't ask you how long it's been for you, because I know it's been even longer than that. And you have been a blessing to Unity for a long time, and laid many wonderful foundations for the work that we do. And we have seen people come and go from our lives. We have seen things come and go from our lives. And from each of those people and those relationships and those things, we have gained and enhanced and deepened our own connection with spirit and with all that is. And I'm going to put up a PowerPoint, and I'm going to walk us through this PowerPoint. Thank you for sharing the hosting with me, Maya. And so if you will bear with me for a moment, so we can walk through this. Let's see, which one is its turning point? There it is, the turning point of peace. And I'm going to put the show on from the beginning. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. See if that there. And everyone can see the slides. Yeah, very good. Very good. Okay. And by the way, I love the way Unity Center in Montreal spells the word center. It's the old way of spelling it, and I just love that. SCNTRE of Montreal. And the turning point of peace. And there's my that's my website address, if you should ever be curious about it. I am the minister of an online ministry right now called Unity of the Heart Mind, because I believe in anchoring the mind in the heart. I believe they work together. I learned in my biblical work that in Hebrew, the word for heart is the same as the word for mind, so that in the ancient Hebrew, so that they are one. There's no mental up here and emotional down here, that they work together as one consciousness, one soul. So I call that the heart mind. And that's what we minister to at Unity of the Heart Mind, is the soul, the consciousness of the person. And again, it's a joy to be here with you at this time, especially December 31st is a turning point. It's a turning point. Before there was even religion as we know it today, human beings were finding meaning in the passing of time. And so today we're looking at the namesake of January, the ancient Roman god Janus, or Janus. And Janus is the god of those turning points, of those transitions. And he is the oldest of the gods. He's the longest known. He's the most ancient of the gods on the pantheon of the Roman gods. And again, this is because even before religion formed that much, people were looking for a way to honor the passage of time, to put the past in the past and to embrace the future. He shows up on denaries or denarius coins of the 2nd and 1st centuries BCE. And here's one of those coins. You can see the youthful Janus looking to the new year, and the older Janus, reflecting and saying farewell to the old. God of transition and thresholds. That quality in you which reflects on the past and contemplates the future. And the way, there were several ways that you can honor the Janus in you, your inner Janus. And one of them is to put some kind of talisman or symbol. Some people will take their keys and they'll put them over the threshold of their homes to welcome in the new year. I'm wearing a talisman. I don't know how well you can see it, but it is one of those little hands with the eye of God in the center. This particular one is from the Islamic culture, but the Hebrew culture has the same symbol, and it welcomes you into your home. When Larry and I moved into a home we lived in Bahrain for 2 years, our landlady, we were renting the home, our landlady welcomed us by giving us one of these to hang in our front window, one of these talismans to hang in our front window and welcome people with hospitality and love. So Janus, who would like to, is there anyone? I'm going to ask for readers, and you don't have to, but if you would like to read these paragraphs that I have describing these things that we're talking about today, who would like to read about Janus? Anyone? Okay, Nicole. Wonderful.
Janus, the beginning of a time period is not a static state, but a transition, a doorway. Janus oversaw all transitions, tangible or not, a step over a threshold, a new year, moon cycles, new schools or jobs, birth and marriage and death, roads that separate the city from the country, the thin, terrible divide between war and peace.
Yes. So Janus is the God that people turned to when they were transitioning into something new, or when they wanted to transition into something new. For example, if they were seeking peace, if they were living in a state of war and seeking peace, they would turn to Janus to bring them out of war and into peace. And of course, as we know in unity, just as with every biblical character, every god, everything on a pantheon, every being on a pantheon is an aspect of our own inner divinity, an aspect of our own being. So we have that in us, which calls forth our transition into newness. When we are in turmoil, we can turn to that in us, which transitions us into a state of peace. Here's a transition. I mentioned my sister. For example, the very depth of grief that I experienced in the loss of my sister, I think, was deeper than any that I had experienced heretofore. And both my parents are gone, but when I lost my sister, it just went very, very deep. And I have transitioned the depth of that grief. It's not that I still don't have those moments, and I honor those moments, but I have transitioned the very depth of that grief into the joy of knowing this woman, of living a life with her, and of all that she gifted me with in her life. So I still feel her presence very strongly, in a sense of joy and of those memories. So there's a way that the inner Janus transitions something from one state of experience to another. All right. So we are honoring our inner Janus today. And we do it. Yes, I want to mention these things. We do it through what I'm calling 3 things. And I've posted these things on my website. You all inspired me. You inspired me. And as I put together this talk, I thought this would be a good January message for my website. So I posted these 3 things on my website that I'm sharing with you today. And I love, like I say, I love our daily word for today because it honors the past as we move into the future. And this is what we are going to do with our 3 steps to awaken our inner Janus and the peace that we can experience going into the new year. And those 3 steps are to move on, to keep on, and to shine on. You'll find that being an old Unity speaker, I like to do those things that are easy to remember. I'll either do an acronym of some kind, or I'll do some phrasing that is easy to remember. So move on, keep on, and shine on are the 3 phrases for today. So moving on, we're going to move on. And move on, put the past behind you. Now, what does that mean? It may not mean what we think it means. It doesn't mean suppressing it. It doesn't mean wiping it out of our minds and our being. Like I say, it means approaching it the way our daily word approached it today, with gratitude for all that has gone before and all that we've learned from. So who would like to read the paragraph on moving on? And like I say, if no one does, oh, thank you, Catherine. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Move on. Put the past behind you. The meaning of putting the past behind you is not found in cutting yourself off from all thoughts and memories of it. It is natural for the mind to think, reflect, remember, and learn from the past. The meaning is found in your ability to release the hold of the past on your present and future experiences. This is done through forgiveness, gratitude, and the willingness to move on. Cultivating these three attitudes puts the past behind you as a launch pad and not in front of you as a barrier between you and your future.
All right. Beautiful. Beautiful. So to understand what it is to release the past, yes, let go, let God, but let go of the past's hold on you. You have to let go to move into the future, but you can hold these things in your heart, not like clinging to them, but as something that turns out to be a guide and a support for you into the future. And the way to do this is through forgiveness. And forgiveness is, wow. How can I say it? I'll put it this way. Whatever you call the universal presence, beingness, whatever you call the eternal, be it God, the divine, whatever your name for all of it is, God does not, how can I say it? God does not forgive. God reminds you that God is love, you're created from love, and in that realization, you find the ability to forgive. And what does it mean to forgive? We have said in Unity, it means giving for. Well, it means giving love for. It means giving something for. If you have a resentment or a regret, you can contemplate your resentments, and we'll be doing this next week with a form of a burning bowl ceremony that we'll be doing online. You can contemplate your resentments and your regrets and release those. Release the energy of resentment. Release the energy of regret, and just know that everything you have known, everyone you have known, everything you have been that has brought you up to this point makes you the perfect whole being that you are right here and right now. And that's what it means to forgive. To have gratitude, that actually rolls into an attitude of gratitude that we read about in our daily word today. Then we are grateful for all that has brought us up to here. And then to be able to move on, to stop dwelling in, to stop. There's a difference between reflecting on something, oh yes, because I knew my sister, I am a more joyful person, and regretting something, oh, my sister's gone from my life, how am I going to go on? We can spin ourselves in that spin cycle of just going over and over and over again, something that may have happened in the past to us, which will slow us down and affect our present. When we catch ourselves doing that, it's a very human thing to do, to start launching into something that happened in your past that's kept you from being who you want to be right here, right now. Well, when you launch into that, when that comes up in your consciousness, it comes up for one reason, to forgive and to let it go. And as we know, Jesus gave us the number 7, to forgive 70 times 7, which is a number of fullness and completion. To forgive, in other words, forgive as many times as it takes. Because when things come up, they come up to be blessed with love and forgiven. And when it comes up again, including your own anger or your own upset, do not get upset with yourself about getting upset. Do not get angry with yourself about getting angry. It happens. We have this storage that comes up to be cleaned out. It's like cleaning out your basement. You can't do it till you pull all the stuff out and bring it into the light. So when that stuff comes up, forgive, be grateful for all that has gone before, and be willing to move on, to take the next step, to do what there is to do in the present and into the future. Whoops, there we go. I accidentally hit the button, but it's our next step. See? But my slides wanted me to move on, so there we go. Keep on is our next one. So we're going to look at the past, and we're going to look at the future, and then we're going to land ourselves in the present with peace. Okay, so keep on. So who would like to read about keeping on? Anyone? If not, I am happy to. And okay, so keep on. Build your future on the foundation of faith. Don't let the limitations of the past be the dictations of the future. Activate your faith, and January in Unity is the month of faith. There are 12 powers. Maya addressed those powers beautifully, and those affirmations, you all addressed them beautifully. I saw your 12 power affirmations over Christmas. I was working in other arenas, but I saw them, and they were fabulous. Activate your faith through belief in what is possible beyond what you have already perceived and experienced. Whatever has gone before now, in this moment, you can believe in yourself, in others, and in a universe that is ready to respond to your intentional actions and empowering connections. So, to activate your faith, you direct your belief in what you want. Faith is a spiritual power that will lay the groundwork and bring into being whatever it is, wherever you direct it. So it, it can be positive or negative. Belief is the directing faculty. What you believe is what directs your power of faith. Faith is it's almost like it's the clearing faculty, and like I say, it lays the foundations. It's almost like the creative power that it draws to you. The evidence of things not seen. It draws to you what you have not yet experienced. And like I say, it can be positive or negative depending on your belief. What is it that you believe? What is it that you believe? That directs your faith. Okay. So, whoops, I backed up. There we go. So, believe in yourself first and foremost. You have everything you need in this moment. And everything that has gone before has prepared you for this moment and for the future that is now unfolding before you. So believe in yourself. Believe in others. By the way, even when the intention of others for you is not a good one. Anybody ever experienced that? Where people actually have not intended the best for us. Okay. Or maybe what was going on was, and I think this is what goes on in every case, they were in a mode where they had felt so strongly about looking out after themselves, okay, that they were unable to embrace or encompass our intention for our good. So their action probably seemed adversarial or against our intention. Okay, so what you can do is you can believe in even in those adversarial forces in life, which actually form and shape and make you stronger and better in who you need to be. Those people that we have called our adversaries in the past have been, some of them have been our greatest teachers. It doesn't mean we have to cling to them and hold them in our lives, but it means we have learned so much from our interactions with them. Believe in others. Believe that they are moving you toward your good, and in a universe that is ready to respond to your intentional actions. So have the intention of faith, have the intention of love, and make those empowering connections, those connections with people of like mind and heart, just as you're doing right now, that support you in moving into a future, a clear and strong future. Ooh, my goodness, I need to move on. Shine on. Find peace in the present moment. And this is where you find peace, when you have been grateful and forgiving of the past, when you have looked to the future with faith. You can then find peace in the present, because both your past and your future, where do they live and when do they live? They live right here, right now. There's no such thing as you popping into the future, because if you pop into the future, that's your present. When you step into the future, you are now in what is now the present. So the future and the past both live right here, right now. Oops. And peace is the stillness that resides in the core of your being, however active or in turmoil your mind or your world may be. I'll say that again. Peace resides in the core of your being, however active or in turmoil your mind or your world may be. That is the peace we are accessing this whole month. When you touch on this peace, you can be present to whatever is before you in powerful and transformational ways. You can say what needs to be said and do what needs to be done right here and right now, with courage, compassion, and the peaceful persistence of knowing your efforts will bear good fruit. And again, you can, these paragraphs are posted on my website if you want to review them in the future, or you can check back with this recording with Unity of Montreal. Finally, a very present form of those who are able to be in the midst of turmoil and war and find a symbol of peace. And many of you may have heard, how many of you saw on the news how the Palestinian Christians honored Christmas? They honored Christmas. They didn't celebrate it. They didn't have the parties. They didn't have the tourism. They didn't have everything that goes with Christmas except the Christ child and the surrounding nativity figures. But they put the Christ child in the rubble of war. They put the Christ child in the midst of the rubble of war, along with the light of the Christ candle there, like the phoenix coming up from the ashes, to remind us of the true meaning of remembering who we are and how we can find our way to that, whatever there is. And I found an image of children lighting the way to the Christ child in the Lutheran Christmas church in Bethlehem in the West Bank, which is a Palestinian area. There are 6% Christians in the population of Palestine. And these Christians are doing everything they can to bring peace to the situation. So one of them, who is a journalist and a mother, had said this. Her name is Hind, I hope I can say this correctly, Shriade. And she said, it might be true that the rest of the world is celebrating Christmas, while in Palestine we are not. But in reality, while the rest of the world celebrates Christmas, we in Palestine are living it. So when we think of the story of Christmas and the conditions in which Jesus was born, it wasn't necessarily a wartime, but it was a time of oppression and a time of difficulty in the world. And Jesus was born in the most humbling of circumstances. So this was remembered, that part of the story. Well, that's the Christ in us, the Spirit of God in us, whatever we call it, that can show itself even in the midst of the rubble of our lives. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take the last few minutes to guide you into directing your belief, awakening your faith, and finding peace in your life through whatever your vision is for a new year. So does everybody have at least a blank piece of paper or a journal or something and a writing utensil? If you don't, take a moment to get something. What we are doing is we are writing letters to God, and my understanding is that your ministry has practiced this by collecting those letters, holding them in a special space for close to a year, and then mailing them to you toward the end of the year to remind you, well, you are going to be the holder of your own letter to God this year. Find a sacred place for it. Find a place where it is well kept, perhaps an altar or some place where you invest a lot of prayer energy. And then maybe toward the end of the year, you can look at your letter to God and see what your intention was in the early part of the year, not to give yourself a grade as to how much you fulfilled it, but to remind yourself of what truly comes from your core, and to give thanks for how much you have lived into that, and for the guidance to live into it even further. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a deep breath. And we're going to close our eyes for just a moment. Beloved, rest in peace in me. Here you are in truth. Beloved, rest in joy in me. Here you are in truth. My Peace and joy surround you in my arms. Say yes to me. Say yes, Father. Say yes, I will. Say yes to me. Throw away your thought of fear. Throw away your thought of pain and sacrifice. Say yes to me. Say yes, Mother. Say yes, I will. Say yes to me. Rest now in my arms. Rest now in my arms. Rest now in my arms. And take a deep breath. And so it is. And so it will be. When there is a verb used in the Hebrew language, it implies both the present and the future. There's no past in the verb. So when God said, I am who I am, or I am that I am, also what was said was, I will be what I will be. So look at what you are saying yes to. I'm going to simplify. Here are some directions that can guide you in writing your letter, but since you only have a very few minutes, 3 to 5 minutes to write it, I'm going to just say, what are you saying yes to this year? You can begin with Dear God or Eternal One, or however it is you address the divine, and then what are you saying yes to this year? And take about 3 to 4 minutes to just write down what there is on your heart for now. And if there is nothing and you leave it blank, then let your heart be open for the year as well. And does anyone need more time? Is there anyone who needs more time? I am going to show you the last slide. You can keep writing for a moment, show you the last slide, which says Happy New Year, as we stand on the threshold of a clear and open path with open hearts, with clear minds and open hearts. And when you have a clear mind and an open heart, that is where your peace resides. And I'm going to stop the share so we can all see each other again. All right. Does anyone else need more time? Okay. All right. Then take your letter and fold it the way that you lovingly can do so. And then think of a place, perhaps a favorite book to put it in, perhaps a spot in your desk, perhaps a place on your altar. My altar is behind me this way. I will show it to you perhaps one of these times while we are sitting here online, and keep it there until the next year. I wrote my letter yesterday as I was reflecting on this talk for today. I wrote my letter to God, and let's see. Yep. And your letter is between you and the divine spirit of the universe. Oh my goodness. We're going to talk about that universal element too in coming weeks, because the universe, thanks to the James Webb Telescope, the physical universe as we know it has just gotten even deeper. So, wow. I mean, old theories are being blown out of the water right now. So we are, amazing. I'm going to talk about that a little bit in future talks, how all of that is in us and part of who we are. Okay. So any questions or comments? Just let's take a deep breath. Let's hold our letters close to our hearts and say amen.
Amen.
And so it is.
So it is.
And so it will be.